Well, looking good. Is that a camo bow tie?
It's actually a safari bow tie. My good friend Malcolm McLeod, which I know you know him, he gives me all his old neckties.
I'm surprised it's not a zebra bow tie.
Well, funny enough,
Tell me you have one.
on the edge it has a zebra in this, but it's a necktie, so we just cut a pattern out, so you never know what part of the tie you're going to get. And funny enough, it has a zebra on there. Malcolm loves his zebras.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, we make bow ties out of reclaimed neckties, so he has tons of neckties.
You make the bow tie.
I would like to say that I make them. Right now, Mother Goose, Mom, is making them.
Your mom makes bow ties out of reclaimed neckties.
Yeah.
How long has she been doing that?
It's probably been a year or two.
Okay.
Trying to get her to make more and more.
Okay, so she's
a busy lady.
This has turned into a better segue than I had imagined, because the last time that you were here, and for you guys, the last time that Harold was here, he said, I want to come back and I want to talk a little bit more about brand building, and I want to talk more about marketing. So, I mean, we should take this conversation wherever it is that you want to go.
Yeah.
And whatever it is that all of us in this room want to take it. But I would love to hear a little bit more about why you're motivated to discuss that a little bit, because I feel like you have used that visual identifier as something to build your brand off of. Like, people see a bow tie, as silly as it may sound, bow tie as an icon. You're almost always wearing a bow tie. I think maybe the only time that I've seen you in recent history without a bow tie is when you're playing wiffle ball. Yeah. And you might have even been wearing one.
No,
so I don't know.
Wiffle ball, I always got the jorts on, and then besides that, coaching our boys playing ball. Besides that, I'm in a bow tie most of the time, unless I'm in the backyard. And
all right, so give us the origin story of the bow tie.
Oh man, the origin story. So for one of the early closings, this is right out of college, a few months out of college, don't know what I'm doing, what I'm wearing, what's professional, what's not. And I headed to a closing, and YouTube how to tie a bow tie, and wore a bow tie. Within the first couple hours, I would say I had 5 comments like, oh, I like the bow tie. I was like, this is all right. So the light bulb went off. I'm like, if I just wear a bow tie every day in wrinkle-free clothes, I don't have to think about what I'm wearing anymore. And that's what started it. And I used to iron all my clothes, got tired of that real quick.
Oh, I bet.
Watkins Cleaners is the best. Thanks, Danny.
You're
Evan
a regular
and
patron. Yeah.
Yes. And so now it's just wrinkle-free clothes and a bow tie. And for me, it's like, you play ball, you have your uniform on. It's like, all right, I'm game ready, and then people know what to expect when they see you. I think it's important, especially when you're somebody that you're in a profession where people see their signage and they see your picture and things of that nature. You want to look the same as what they're seeing, so they can put that brand recognition together. So yeah, it's been one of the better things for our branding for sure.
Yeah, it's like you take the guesswork out of what you're going to wear.
Oh yeah.
And then it's a little bit more about how you're going to wear it, right? Because I mean, how many bow ties do you have now?
Oh man, it's at least 50, at least.
And counting, right? Because it sounds like Mother Goose is making more and more and more.
Exactly, make more and more. It's funny. So Jack, joined us a little, let's see, full time in January, but was with us last summer, and so he jumped on the bow tie wagon.
I've noticed,
which I think is great, and I think I kind of explained to him how it's a conversation starter. It's rare, and he's already started to see some of that in his day to day. I forgot what we were saying. What were we talking about? In his day to day, what were we talking about?
How many does Jack have? Do you
think?
That's
what. Oh, this. Oh, the. All right. So here it goes. Found it. He had the pre-tied bow ties. I was like, "That's good, brother, but you're gonna wear a bow tie every day. You got to start tying them."
That was apprentice level. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to start tying them.
Oh, that
his
is
mom
fantastic.
was not happy with me because she already went and got him a handful of bow ties, and she's like, "Well, Harold's just gonna have to figure it out." But no, he understands. I'd say within the first 2 weeks, we were at a walkthrough, and the guy was like, before I got there, right? And he was like, "Do you tie 'em?" And it's so great when you can just undo it. See, that's what I used to do. I just undo it, say, you don't even have to say anything. Just undo it, and then
it's like a Matthew McConaughey move. Like, I could see that, just
right,
and then put it back together right in front of him.
And yeah, I was about to say, and then you do it so often, you can tie it and not have to look in the mirror anymore. Which I will say, Jack picked up on it really fast. I think we did a video series of how fast he started tying his bow tie, which now we
I think I saw something about that, like how quickly you could get it done, and like people were
guessing,
making guesses.
Yeah,
were people betting on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we bet push-ups. We like to bet push-ups in the
it's more responsible.
Or the treehouse, as my son likes
Your
to call it.
consequence is fitness.
Yeah, that's
not
right.
financial insecurity. Yeah,
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when did you start creating the digital equivalent? Like, because your team logo and stuff,
Yeah.
it has the bow tie on it, right? So how long did it take after the light bulb went off when you went to the closing with your bow tie to actually creating an icon for that, like for your email signatures, for your marketing content, for your billboards?
It really took longer. It probably been in the business 11 years now. I'd say it was about year 4 before we switched to, we used to be the Remax Home Team. Now we're the Collins Group with EXP Realty. And when we switched to the Collins Group, that was when we incorporated the bow tie. Initially, when we were the home team, we were thinking like baseball themed, because that's, playing ball. But once we figured out, and man, people, they may not know your name, but they're like, oh, you're that real estate bow tie guy, right? I've seen your signs. And so then we were like, all right,
You're that real estate bow tie guy.
yeah,
That's awesome.
We got to put it in there. So it's been good. It's a differentiator, I would say. Easy to spot.
I mean, quite literally, it's your brand.
Yeah.
Which I think is super cool. Okay, so what about the "you may like it here" phrase / motto? Tell me about how that came about, because I feel like those are the two unique pieces to the Collins Group brand, from what I can tell.
Absolutely.
You may like it here and the bow tie.
That's everything we do. Stick to it, stay simple, consistency. That started with bow tie the day videos. I'd stand in front of a house, say, here's this house, 3-bedroom, 4-bath, this, and here's your bow tie of the day. And I'd finish on the bow tie of the day. Playing softball and other things out and about, and people would be like, hey, I saw your bow tie of the day. Good video. And I was like, this is a year or 2 in. I'm like, okay, because the goal is make sure people know you're in the business. Make sure they know you're in the real estate business. Make sure they know you're in the mortgage business. And just like I tell Jack all the time, once they know, then it's your upbringing and how you treat people, and do they trust you, and do they know that you're going to do what's best for them? Are you going to treat them how you would want to be treated? So most important is making sure people understand what you do so you can help them. So, man, I keep forgetting what we're talking about.
No, that's right on the money. It's really
question,
just where did the actual phrase come from?
You may like it here video. Yeah. So start out bow tie of the day. So Bing, they know what I'm doing. So I need to keep doing that so more people know what I'm doing. And then it got to where, we talked about earlier with the competitions, that we like activities. So a house with a big yard, what do I like about it? You can play ball in the backyard that's got a good flat driveway for basketball. You got woods in the back. I love to go hiking, or you're a mountain biking guy. So I'm just thinking, all right, well, why is somebody going to like it here? Why is somebody going to like it here? And then it just, you may like it here branding. That's where it started.
Yeah, it kind of instigates a little bit of creative thought
for
the potential home buyer. And I've seen some of your videos, and I think it's interesting because I do like how clean and polished, like some of these more stereotypical, like drone shots and stuff are. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like a lot of what people would describe as luxury listings, right? Where you have a drone, like you said, inside and out, around. It's elevated so that it shows the surroundings,
right?
Especially if it's on hilltop or something like that.
Yeah.
It can look
like this beauty right here.
It could look like really fun. And yours, though, I feel like yours is a little bit different, and I like it because what I've seen you guys do is you show like a small party on the property, like you said, like a wiffle ball game or a softball game or something, and you literally just capture a video of people having a good time at a cookout. Or even like a cornhole game. And it reminds me a little bit of like some of these home development channels, like your DIY and HGTV, where they basically show a renovation or a rehab or a flip or whatever you want to call it. And then on the back end, they host and they show all the people there. But what you're doing is you're taking that and you're bringing it on the front end saying, this is how well it can entertain. We want to show you, like the one that you had on Shades Crest.
Yes, that
like
was
that,
a fun one.
That ranch-looking home.
Yep, Zach and Sabrina, that was a great one.
Yeah, so like it was the one where right across the street was the bluff, like the cliff.
That was the most organic video I think, to date.
Oh, that's a good word. Yeah.
I mean, it
did feel organic.
I said, hey, just invite your friends over. I'm going to bring food. And that was it.
Yeah, and then you just capture a few
captured it all,
candid clips of people having a good time. Like anybody who can buy it can do it.
Right.
It's an easy property. And you're bringing the fun to them at the forefront in a very real way.
Right.
And what I also like about it is that it doesn't look like you're blowing the bank to do it.
No,
you know,
really.
It's like, hey, this is just a real shot of people getting together.
Yeah. And then every opportunity you can get to highlight, local businesses close to this house, and here's other reasons why you may like it here. And, then you're supporting local, you're supporting other people's business, and it's more likely for them to support you. But then also while you're doing that, it gives you the capability to organically grow the reach of that video, because the more faces you have in a video, the more likely their friends are to watch it, their aunt, their grandmother, all these people are to watch it or share it. Then it gets further and further out. And one thing, we've shared with sellers is, someone looking for if you're just speaking to a home, someone looking for a home, they're going to be on MLS, Zillow, whatever it is, searching. Well, we're trying to create this video that gets to those people that aren't even really thinking about moving, but then they see this video because the aunt shared it, the grandmother, whoever it is, like, wow, I didn't know that there were 2 acres in Bluff Park and only 15 minutes from UAB Hospital. I would move there. So now you just reach someone that otherwise would not have been reached. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and there's also like this Charlotte's Web effect where each person who sees it could be a new nucleus, and they have other people who may be interested, even if the actual viewer is not.
Exactly.
So I do like that, because that is really how the older forms of big social media, I'll use Facebook as an example, that's really how it got started.
Yeah.
Is that it was a little bit more quaint and intimate, I feel like, and people want to see the people that they know.
Right.
But I would like to hear from your perspective, how much more powerful do you think video content is than other forms of content? Because I feel like there's a different pull when there's a video, especially if the video is polished.
Right. I mean, it's a game changer. Kind of like, the you may like it here videos. The point is, when someone's coming and walking through a home, you get whatever kind of feel you can get from it, from just walking through usually decluttered or empty home or whatever it may be, where you show a video of like, hey, here's what living here looks like. Here's all the fun things you get to do. And then here's all the places you can get on a walk or a bike ride or a short drive, whatever it is. Getting someone to see their family enjoying all the things that otherwise they would not even think about, because you're the person that's lived there. The sunrises over here, man, the creek down back, whatever it is that only the homeowner is going to know. That's what we're trying to bring out and just get into their minds, so they start putting themselves in your home.
I've never thought about that. Yeah. The sunset and the sunrise.
Oh yeah,
nobody gets that. They see a property
whatever time of day,
like a couple hours, and they don't even get to choose.
Yeah.
Right? It's whenever there's an opening for a showing or whenever there's an open house.
Yeah.
So if you can get that captured on video,
right,
that'd be so cool. Because otherwise, where are you getting a lot of your juicy information? For most people, it's at the closing table.
Yeah. So
decision's already been made.
Right. We want to take that from the seller, and then what's the best way we can interpret that to potential buyers, so they get to appreciate all the things that you've been appreciating during your time here.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, because I feel like a lot of people say, and I've heard this from consumers, I've heard this from real estate professionals, right? Everyone's like, hey, you've got to dedicate a portion of your budget, before time, energy, emotion, all of that stuff. You have to dedicate a certain spending habit toward purchasing leads and going to where the customers are, right? And I've heard so many different perspectives on the matter. People will reference some of these big dog internet sites and beds like Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin and Homes.com and other stuff like that. But what strikes me as interesting when it comes to you guys and the brand that you've built is that it feels extraordinarily homey. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of what you've been going for with You May Like It Here and supporting local businesses, because it's like, all right, well, I know that the Collins Group, they have a special tie to Bluff Park and then the Hoover area.
Right.
But I've seen you practice in so many other areas, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know that it's not specific to that.
Right.
Right. And so how do you nurture, I guess, your target population and your immediate geographic area that you call home?
Mm-hmm.
But then how also do you scale? Because everyone is, if I might say so, inappropriately obsessed with growth for the sake of growth. And
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who say, hey, growth is not a just cause. Like I was just reading about that from Simon Sinek in The Infinite Game, right? Growth for the sake of growth is not a just cause.
Right.
Right. And money for the sake of money is not a just cause. Being the best for the sake of being the best is not a just cause. So how do you do all these things to continue your brand, which is how you continue to play the game forever,
Right.
how you stay in the real estate space? So my big question to you is, how do you extend your ability to have that homey touch, right? As a true hometown feeling kind of small team, and where's the limit? Like how far out can you go? Is the limit not actually geographic? Is it the amount of customers that you can service and still deliver, that same quality that you hold yourselves to? What do you think on that? Like how far can I stretch, and how much can I work my existing book of business with everyone that we want to be in front of,
Right.
without sacrificing what we stand for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that's a good question. I learned from an experienced realtor. One piece of advice that he gave me was, he said, own where you live. Make sure you own where you live. And that started I used to have some hesitancies of posting too much about Bluff Park because that's where I live. But where do majority of my activities take place? And it's easier to post organic material when it's just my day-to-day life. So I stopped worrying about that. And it didn't just focus our business just to that area, because it's still, we're helping people, and the people that trust us and see that we can bring value to them, and make, a real estate transaction a pleasant experience. That's why it still allowed us to go outside of just where I live. But having that focus of, who doesn't love to work near where they live? I mean, it's just more convenient. You're friends with all the people.
You're bringing more value, I would think.
Say again?
I said I would think that you're also bringing more value to those customers.
Absolutely.
Who knows it better than you? I mean, maybe a couple of people, but not many.
Yeah, I mean, that's all opinion. I think I know it really well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But, and love to, I get a lot of calls, people asking about information about the area, whether it's consumers or other agents, and happy to help them as well. I mean, if you're not willing to help somebody, then you're in the wrong business. I mean, whether you're doing what I'm doing or what you're doing, mortgages or real estate or anything else, if you're not, the more people you're helping, no matter what you're doing, the more successful you're gonna become. So, but then as far as other areas, that's what it's about. It's about the people, and like I said, and I was explaining to Jack, it's making sure people know what you do, and then they know what kind of person you are. Thank your mom and dad for raising you to, grow up looking people in the eyes, be respectful. Man, trying to hammer that into my sons right now. When you're talking to somebody or they're talking to you, make eye contact and respond. And just doing little things. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Still, it just goes a long way that people know that, you're going to be respectful. You're going to handle things in a proper manner. And real estate transactions, you're helping people, get a mortgage for that. And we're helping them find it, search it, see if it's a good deal, whatever it may be. But that's most people's biggest investment in their entire life.
Yeah, it's a big money transaction, no doubt.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's, hey, I can trust this person, and I know they're going to look out for what's best for me. So that's, to me, and the reason we work from Smith Lake to Lay Lake to Sylacauga, McCalla, Gardendale, Homewood, Mount Brook, Vestavia, all of them. We work at all the places. It's because people put their trust in you. And to me, there's no greater compliment when somebody's, maybe even you just met them a day or two ago and they're like, hey, thank you for helping us find the house. We want you to come and help us sell ours. I have a short story if you want to hear this one.
I do, yeah.
Okay. And this was one of our biggest listings at the time, biggest sales at the time, back in Old Overton in Liberty Park. And held an open house. Nobody showed up. I had 2 open houses before that. Tons of people showed up. It was like 1.4, 1.5. And then this third one, not a single person. And I get a call like 30 minutes after it's over, like, hey, we were trying to get by there. We couldn't get by there. Any chance we could see it later? So I drove back at like 6:30 that night, showed it to them. Super nice family. And they said, okay, well, tomorrow, can we go see what else is in the neighborhood? So I set up like 7 houses, and we started at 6 p.m. We ended up at about 10 p.m. So it's my second day to meet them. And after the last one, it was a vacant house. That's how we were able to show it at 10 p.m. And they were like, well, we like the one that you're listing. And will you help us sell our home? And I'm 25 at the time.
Helped the
maybe
person that you were
26.
helping sell, right? Because you had that listing. So you're helping your original client.
I'm helping the seller.
And then you showed them around.
I
They
showed
said
the-
they wanted to end
the
up
buyer.
buying the first one, right? The one
Right.
that you were listing.
Yeah.
And so in your seemingly selfless efforts to show them other properties because that was in line with their interests,
Right.
they ended up coming back. So you're really able to help 2 clients at the same time.
They were, yep, I'm helping my
Even
seller
after
initially.
what felt like a dud of an open house.
Right. And then help the buyer.
That's cool.
And then got to sell their home, which is, besides the Shades Crest one of our favorite videos. It's a Beauty and the Beast theme video. Their children got in on it. And now it just happens to be a great relationship that has flourished. And he's a business partner of mine now. We own Airbnbs together. And he's a mentor. He's a great guy. I look up
that's
to him a
cool.
lot. And but I remember pulling out of the driveway at 10:30 that night and calling Mom. I was like, man, you won't believe. One, they want the Wakefield house, or they want this house in Liberty Park that we had listed, and then they just asked us to help them sell their house. And I was like, that they just put their trust in me after knowing them for 2 days.
Well, they saw what you were doing.
Yeah.
And also what you were willing to do.
All right.
Because trusting that somebody is good at what they do is important. Like, I don't want to throw shade on that at all,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
also understanding what they're actually willing to do and how accessible they are.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to tell them, I'm willing to show you a home at 10 at
Right.
night. You just did it.
Yeah.
And so they know, okay, well, this guy's going to go to the ends of the earth to help us.
Right.
And they're probably not going to forget that. At least if for some reason, because I know this happens to everyone in our shared industries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like buyers and customers will go somewhere else.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
decide to take their business to somebody else. And if they have a harder time doing so because they truly understand your value, then that's good.
Oh, yeah,
Like, you don't even have to
absolutely.
articulate what a lot of people describe as your value proposition, right?
Right.
A lot of people say, oh, you've got to articulate that on the forefront. Well,
Yeah.
not necessarily if you can show it.
Yeah.
If you can
That's
show
just
it, then
actions speak louder
then
than
you're
words.
okay. Right.
That's right.
So, and that can go both ways. Like, people will see you doing the good things, and then people will completely misinterpret certain results.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had an experience with that recently where somebody thought that I was up to something like nefarious. I was like, guys, no, like, absolutely not. And that's when communication comes into play, right?
Yeah.
Like, making sure that you are, like you said, looking people in the eye. You're not afraid to talk to people. You're not running the other way.
Right.
And making sure that people understand, like, you're real and you're willing, and you would like to represent them and earn their business for something very, very proper in response, right?
Right.
And that is the service that you provide. So I think that's cool. And one thing that stood out to me in you talking was your reference to your mom, because mom's not just mom for you, right? Like, mom's been a mentor for you for quite a
absolutely.
while, hasn't she?
The best. Yeah, the best. I got to learn from the best, and had coming into the business, having somebody that's is going to have your best interest, because you learn the hard way, especially in real estate. Sometimes everybody's not always going to do everything fair or the way you would handle it. And so I had some scenarios where, man, she saved me from somebody really cutting me out there, and I've been through those scenarios as well, and it just that just is what it is, and you got to get past it. And some people are going to do that, and then some people are going to make sure that they come back to you no matter what, even if somebody else tried to leave you out of a transaction. Maybe they're like, oh no, this is my guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that means a lot, because it could could have saved them X number of dollars.
Well, it's tricky, right? And I imagine this is why a lot of people don't practice your profession, is that you've got to be willing to work tirelessly for free for an extended period of time. Like, if you're not willing to do free work, I don't see how you can be successful.
Right.
And not everyone's going to reciprocate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this meme and graphic a few months ago that said, if you are a giver, you have to have limits because the takers don't have any.
That's very true.
And you have to understand how to equip yourself. And also you have to build in losses.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to keep going, and you can't let it get you down. And you've got to be that beacon of hope and positivity for all the people that trust you to represent them, you know? And I think continuing to see all of that play out with each and every person that you have the opportunity to represent is huge, because that's when people are going to be like, okay, well, let's talk to this group because I feel like they're going to listen. At the end of the day, people want to be heard,
right?
You know, and
absolutely.
so many people just don't listen. And I want to switch gears here slightly because I want to ask you another question. When you understand like your mission, for lack of a better word or phrase,
right,
and you know your brand and what it stands for and what you want to do and how you want to be methodical about it and grow, how do you find the right people to build a team, right? And then what does an ideal team look to you? You know, because it functions differently. Some people say, hey, I know how good I am at certain things, or maybe I don't trust other professionals, or hey, maybe I don't have enough business to pay other people to be a part of my team. Maybe I share resources. So what's the best thing that you have seen that lasts in multiple markets, like multiple strengths of different markets? And how do you select and design who's good at what and what's the most efficient? What have you noticed so far?
And that is it's a tough transition from when you go to doing things, you know, mom in the business, it was just her. Then I came in the business and I'm just doing anything and everything she tells me. And then it got to the point I knew we needed an assistant, and it took me a couple of years to convince her, but then we ended up getting an assistant. And
because mom didn't want one?
Yeah, she didn't.
Okay.
She likes to do everything herself for the most part. She's gotten away from that a little bit. And now someone we've had working with us for the longest, which you're familiar with, Eden, it's just been a great fit, right? And she's worn many different hats, and now, you know, really finding a groove. Because to me, it's not necessarily that, yes, of course, some people have certain skill sets that they'll be good at. But, you know, for me, it's someone that is coachable, someone that most important is that you can trust. If someone's coachable and you can trust them, you know, then it's just finding the right seat on the bus, as Nick Saban would say, right? It's, you know, because if they have those two characteristics, then, and they're willing to work hard, you know, you can teach them and help mold them into how they're going to be most successful, how you can help them be most successful, and how they're going to help the team be most successful. So I think that's what, you know, that's really what we're working on. You know, Jack being a recent hire has been phenomenal. He's hit the ground running, doing really well. You know, Cayman's coming in trying to help us with our social media and being more consistent, because consistency is just, it's hard, especially with social media. Like, you get tired of, if you're doing the video and then you're doing the editing, you're doing all this, like, it can wear you out real quick, especially when, you know, you want to spend time with your children, or you want to spend time with your family, or whatever it may be. And at what point is it worth it? So finding those people that are complementary to the team and work well together, and that everybody knows that everyone has that same trust factor, then it makes things a lot less worrisome.
I heard something yesterday from a friend of mine in the real estate space, and she said one of the best marks of a good job is how little time you have to spend in it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting, because hustle culture encourages us to think about something a little bit differently. And you were just describing balance is what I'm thinking of, and where my head goes. You want to spend time with your kids. Marketing can be a grind. But on the flip side, transactional work and showing houses, all of that can be a grind.
Absolutely.
Having phone calls with people can be a grind. Designing some sort of client retention mechanism can be a grind.
Follow-ups,
So, you know, Jerry Seinfeld said, you've got to pick, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, you got to pick the misery that you're comfortable with.
Right.
And you have to just drill it. Like you said, be consistent. So what is the balance? Like, how do you balance outreach and marketing with a consultative and transactional benefit to your clients? Like
Right.
where's the mark there? Because, if you don't market, then you don't get that exposure to the clients.
Right.
But if you have too much exposure to new clients, then you're not really watering the garden that you already have.
Right.
So where's the line there? Like, what do you do?
I think I'm looking for it. I don't know where that line is. I think that's a magic question there. One thing you talked about as far as, especially you get that feeling, one, you want to help, you don't want to not help someone. And you don't want to, like Roxanne tells me, my wife, she's like, you can't say no to anyone. Anytime anybody asks you anything, you're just like, yes.
That's one of the hardest things to do, is to say no.
Right. And so I do think that when you're able to build a team of like-minded people around you where you can trust that, all right, well, and I explain to people now, like, hey, I'm either going to be there or one of our team members, Jack's going to be there, somebody's going to be there. And knowing that they're going to take care of them the way that you're going to take care of them. Now, you still have to stay in touch because maybe they're the reason that they called, because their friend did a deal with us. And, so you don't ever want someone to feel like they're not getting your personal touch. But also, I think people understand that, you can't be everywhere at one time.
And I feel like they never really know, or you never really know unless you ask. Because there have been times where I tried to follow up vehemently with people that I thought would be receptive to the follow-up, and they just weren't.
Right.
And there are other people that I didn't think would be receptive at all. And I either, missed out on a chance to really represent them because I didn't follow up, or I did just as sort of a wild shot, and I ended up being able to help them.
Absolutely.
So it's so strange.
You never know.
Have you heard of the, I think it's the, what is it? It's the 24/7/30 rule. Yeah, 24/7/30 rule. Have you heard of that before? So basically, after meeting someone who you think would be like pivotal for you in the growth of your business to follow up with,
right,
you reach out to them 24 hours after meeting them.
Okay.
And then you reach out to them again 7 days after meeting them. And then you reach out to them 30 days after meeting them.
That's pretty reasonable.
But I've also heard about the 7-touch rule. Like, a lot of people say, hey, if you are not bringing your name and likeness in front of somebody else at least 7 times, it's not going to stick.
Right.
So you have to keep trying that seven different times.
Where's that balance?
Where's the balance? You know, because what are you going to do? Just spam everybody? Nobody likes that.
Right. And different people are receptive in different ways.
Yeah.
On how you're reaching out to them.
Yeah, and how are you going to provide value when you do reach out to somebody?
Right.
So I think it's cool. I like the way that you guys do it because I feel like it's inviting. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you're the group that if you were to say, hey, we're having an event, or we're having a competition, or we're shooting a video, and if anybody that you even know in the slightest kind of way would be like, hey, I want to be a part of it, you'd be like, absolutely. Come on. Like, we'd love to have you.
More the merrier.
Yeah. And it's also, it's like, it's a saturated business. So how do you just have fun with it? Because that's sustainable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, having a marketing calendar may not be sustainable unless you tweak it.
Right.
Your follow-ups may not be sustainable. Representing X amount of clients may not be sustainable, but having fun with it and just kind of doing you, like, that's sustainable.
Right.
And people will gravitate toward that. And I think it's a lot of fun. So it's a little bit easier for me to say because I'm on the outside kind of looking in.
Yeah.
But I feel like you guys have a unique touch. And as much as it helps for me to say, like, I like it because it feels very welcoming. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, like, more or less be a part of our family.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
come in and
I appreciate
and check
that,
it out.
because that's the goal. You want people to feel like they're treated like family, because that's how we want to treat everyone. Mm-hmm. And like you said, inviting. We had the golf giveaway for the night at Purcell Farm. 50 friends showed up just to hit golf balls in the backyard. Like, we're hanging out, our kids are playing together, we're hitting golf balls, we're watching golf on TV, and like, that was work.
Yep, that was work.
That was marketing.
Yeah,
Like, it was just,
client appreciation doesn't have to be miserable.
No, not at all.
No.